Despite a relatively low number of sales for the month of March, the low inventory levels in the Durham Region real estate market are still helping drive home prices up. So today we're going to take a look at what exactly is happening in the Durham Region real estate market, why prices are going up, if we can expect them to continue to increase, and how you should approach this market as a buyer or a seller. If this is your first time here, my name is Jessie McClellan and I'm a realtor here in Oshawa, Ontario with the Lisa Abbott team. I make videos to keep you up to date on absolutely everything that's happening in the Durham Region real estate market, so if you'd like to stay informed on the changes in our market, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also use the link in the description to book a call with me at whatever time works best for you if you'd like to get your questions answered or speak with me about buying or selling a property here. During the month of March, Durham Region saw a 20.9% increase to the number of new listings, a 15.3% increase in sales, and our active listings grew 14.8% when compared to the month prior. Our average home price also increased 1.8% month over month and now sits at $936,000. We're also seeing homes starting to sell a lot faster, with the average days on market dropping to just 14 days. Our sale price to list price ratio increasing to 104% from 102 also reflects both the small increase in home prices and the fact that more and more sellers are opting to list their homes at a lower price and hold offers, hoping to encourage more multiple offer situations. Our months of inventory remained at just 1.1 months during the month of March, which is considered well into seller's market territory. Months of inventory is just one way we can gauge the conditions of the market, and it basically tells us if we were to stop listing homes right now, how long it would take to sell the current inventory at the current pace of sales. Usually under 2.5 to 3 months, we would consider a seller's market. Above 3, we'd consider a more balanced market, and above 5 is a true buyer's market. As long as our market has an inventory level that's this low, especially at this time of the year, we're going to see price growth. Since the beginning of the year, from January until March, the average home price in Durham Region has already increased around $40,000 or 4.6%. This doesn't mean you're going to see price growth month over month the rest of the year, and I certainly don't expect that, but while our inventory is this low, which it could very well be until May or June, we're going to see prices continue to trend upwards, even if it's just by a little bit. Here's a look at how our new listings, sales, and active listings have looked from January until March of this year. The blue line is the new listings, yellow is active listings, and sales are in red. The further apart the sales and active listings get, the more inventory our market is building and the higher the months of inventory will be. You can see that in February and March, although our active listings grew, our sales grew at nearly the same rate, and this is why our months of inventory is not growing yet, because all of that new inventory is essentially being absorbed by the market. And if you take a look at this graph, but with 2023's numbers, you can see it was a similar situation last year, and it wasn't until June that we started to see the red and yellow lines separating, and we started to see our months of inventory grow significantly. But there were some differences last year. New listings took a while longer to come to the market, whereas this year we saw a larger increase to new listings in February and again in March. And we also saw those 2 rate increases in June and July last year that were the catalysts that really caused the market to cool down from July onward. So there's no guarantees on how the rest of the year plays out, because we don't know what's going to happen with interest rates and what impact any potential changes will have. If we look at the year-over-year comparison for March in 2023 and in 2024, there's also a lot of similarities. The number of sales was virtually the same, the days on market was the same, and our months of inventory and sale price to list price ratio were all very similar as well. But this year, our sales to new listing ratio is a little bit lower and has been trending lower since the beginning of the year, which shows that although we're in a seller's market, it's not quite to the same degree that we saw last year. So if you're going to be selling in the near future, the market conditions will likely be more in your favor until sometime in May or June, but keep an eye on months of inventory and where our new listings and sales are trending over the next few weeks. Because when the market changes, it changes suddenly, and 1 week it can feel like a hot seller's market, and the next week the showings slow down, sales drop off significantly, and a ton of inventory starts to build up, and it can quickly become difficult to hit your price expectations. It doesn't mean it's going to be impossible to sell your home by any means, but you have to make sure your expectations line up with the market you're going to be listing in. Service providers like photographers and stagers get booked up very quickly at this time of year, so get a head start on the process so that you can hit the market when it works best for you. And my advice for buyers right now is to expect the market to move quicker. A house that came up today may not be there next week, so if you have a schedule that allows you to see the homes that interest you relatively soon after they come up, that's going to put you at a big advantage over other buyers. But at the same time, do not rush into anything that doesn't make sense or feel right. The market conditions may not be leaning in your favor right now, but you can expect to see more listings coming onto the market through April and May, which will provide you with more options to look at. So if what you want isn't there right now, just be patient, but stay ready. When you do find something that you might want to put an offer in on, make sure that you're working with someone who is knowledgeable on the areas you're looking in so they can pull the most accurate comparable properties and help you set the right price expectations and limits for those homes. Buying a home is a learning process, and the more homes you see, if you and your agent are tracking the sale prices, the more you're going to get a feel for the market and what the homes you like are going to sell for. This is going to put you in the best possible position to be successful and get your offer accepted while not paying more than the home is actually worth. You can expect to face competition from other buyers on most homes, but my experience so far is that if you're doing your research along the way and following sale prices, you're going to make smarter offers, and often many of the other buyers you'll find yourself competing against are not as in tune with the market. They're throwing out a lot of lowball offers hoping that something will stick, or their offers are not constructed in a way that gives the seller and listing agent confidence in them, and those are much easier to compete against. Or you may run into another buyer who decides to pay way too much for a home, and you draw the line and move on to bigger and better opportunities. If you do find yourself in a multiple offer situation, there are ways you can make your offer appealing without just throwing a higher offer price at the seller. I've had buyers who recently had their offers accepted while up against other offers because they included a well-worded letter about their family that the seller happened to connect with. And I've also had a recent buyer who had their offer accepted simply because they increased their deposit. So it's not always about adding to the sale price if your offers are fair to begin with. If you're curious how the different areas of Durham Region, more specifically from Pickering to Clarington, are doing, here are those numbers. Pickering saw some of the biggest changes. The average home price increased 5.3%. There was a 34% increase in new listings, and sales increased as well, but only by 15.5%. So that allowed active listings to grow 21.2%. And although Pickering's months of inventory didn't move, it is the highest months of inventory out of these main areas of Durham Region at 1.3, and the sales to new listing ratio actually dropped to 49.6%. So Pickering is still a seller's market, as is basically everywhere, but it's the more balanced out of these 5 areas. Ajax saw a smaller price increase of 2.8%, new listings jumped 20.7%, but sales increased 24.6%, which meant they saw less growth in the number of active listings, and their months of inventory actually dropped slightly from 1.2 to 1.1. Whitby saw the least movement, prices increased by 1%, new listings increased by 12.5%, and sales by 16.3%. But their inventory remains the lowest out of these 5 areas at just 0.8 months of inventory. Oshawa was the only area that saw negative price growth, with the average price decreasing 2.1%. Sales, new listings, and active listings all increased as well, but the months of inventory still dropped to just 0.9 months. And for Clarington, the average home price saw a big jump and increased nearly $50,000, but Clarington was one of the only places that saw prices pull back in December, so I think that's just the market balancing out. Clarington saw a 20.8% increase in the number of new listings, but the number of sales actually only dropped by 2 properties. So Clarington did see some inventory growth with a 23.7% increase to active listings, and the months of inventory increased from 0.8 up to 1 month. There's not really one area that sticks out more than the other. Pickering has the highest months of inventory, but when you break it down, the inventory is in condos and freehold townhomes, and I wouldn't be surprised if many of those are also assignment sales or new construction properties that buyers are trying to get out of. From my perspective, even though Clarington's average price jumped over 5% in March, I'm still seeing a lot of good deals in both Curtis and Bowmanville in that $650,000 to $750,000 price point for detached and freehold townhomes. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and if you want to speak with me directly, you can always use the link in the description to book a call. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you next week. Bye!